こんばんは。
ピーター・バラカンです。
佐々木香織です。今夜は特集マイク・ウォーレスが見た60年をお送りします。マイク・ウォーレスはラジオ全盛の1930年代に放送の世界に入り、文字通り放送の歴史とともに生きてきました。
ご承知の通り手厳しいインタビューぶりで60 Minutes の中心リポーターとして79歳の今日も現役で活躍しています。
I'm 79 years old.
私は今
I think that I may
79
have flown
その
more
辺のパイロットより
hundreds of
もっと長
thousands
く空を飛ん
of
でるかも
miles
しれ
than
ません
some
ね。
airline pilots.
He simply thinks
ロシアに行ったと思ったら
of going to
次
Russia
の
and
試合は
back
日
this
本へ飛ぶ
weekend
という
and
くらいです。
to
彼にとって
Japan and
は
back
何で
the
もないこ
next.
となんですよ。
It's the story
私の
that
原
keeps
動
me
力は
going
事
truly.
件です。
It remains a
取材は
voyage of
発見の
discovery,
旅。
and that's the best thing that a reporter can have. I was talking to some of my colleagues. Oh, come on, they said. Wallace, don't be a patsy. The man's a con man. What do I tell them?
You can tell them that I was. I lied to people.
For years, Mike has tormented me at dinner parties or when we've been at mutual friends. He'll turn to me and say, "Oh, sorry, I have to leave now. I'm about to interview the Queen of England, or I'm flying off to Rome to do the Pope." And I always believe him.
And there you are. Thank you. Sure, have a good day. You too. You don't trust the media. You've said so. You don't trust whites. You've said so. You don't trust Jews. You've said so. Well, here I am.
Everybody says, "Oh, Mike is going to interview you. That's you're really in for a rough time." I don't think that's so. I think Mike has a very soft side to him.
I don't believe it. She looks 19.
Can you just remember one thing on our first meeting? You must be good to me.
Oh, I'm going to be good to you. Why would I be otherwise?
It's too much of
マイクは
soft
と
friendly
ても
Mike
優し
Wallace.
くなる
He
時
goes
もあるん
back
で
on the other
す。で
side
も相
and
手が変われば
becomes
すぐに雰囲気を
tough,
変え
mean,
て牙を向くんですよ。
It's still peacetime espionage.
Oh, come on,
Please
John.
quit
For
trying to
Christ's sake,
wrap
will
it
you,
up.
you don't know how many people were killed as a result of the information that you made available to the Soviet Union that might have...
Maybe the earliest lesson I
私が
learned
父
from
か
my
ら最
father
初に学んだのは、
is it
大
isn't
事なの
how you
は
ask the
質問の
question,
や
it
り方
isn't
でも
even
なけ
how
れば
bold
図
you
太さ
are
でも
about
ない
being willing to ask the
的を射いた
question.
質問をするという
It's
こと
knowing
で
the
した。
right question to ask.
You really believe that you lived lives before and...
yes, Mike. I don't. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
And you really believe an extraterrestrial... Do they come visit you on the porch? Now you're being unpleasant, Wallace, is what you're saying.
Yes, this is what I was a little afraid of.
Oh,
But you don't have to be that unpleasant. It doesn't become you, you know.
I was the youngest of four
私は4
kids.
人兄弟の
Born
末っ子
Myron
です。
Wallace,
マイロン・ウォーレスという
Myron
名前
Leon
です
Wallace. In
生まれたのは第一次
1918,
世
toward
界
the
大
end
戦
of
の終わり
World War I, in
1918 年
Brookline,
です
Massachusetts, just
場
a
所は
trolley
マサ
car
チューセ
ride
ッ
from
ツ州
Boston.
ブルックラインで
Brookline
ボ
was
ス
an
トンから
O'Connor
路面
Goldberg
電車で
town.
行け
It
る距離
was,
でした
you were either
ブルッ
Jewish
ク
or
ラインはアイ
Irish.
ルランド人とユダヤ人が住
Lenny
む町です
Bernstein came
レオ
out
ナル
of
ド・バーンスタインや
Brookline.
ジョン・ F ・ケネ
Jack
ディも
Kennedy
ここの出身です
started there.
ケネデ
Matter
ィ
of
の家
fact,
は
the
私たち
Kennedy
の家
house
から
was
2、3
just
人
a
の
few
ところにありま
houses
し
from the
た
Wallace house. It was a simply
子供時代を
wonderful
過ごす
town.
環境としては
It
最
really
高の場
was.
所でした
Full of old-fashioned
古き良
values.
き価値観が
Families
健
that
在
were
で
close.
家族がしっかりまとまっていたんです
I went to Brookline High
私は
School,
地元の
played the
高校
fiddle
に
in the
入学し
orchestra,
オ
captained
ー
the
ケストラ
tennis
で
team,
バイオリン
and
を弾きました
was
テニス部に
treasurer
も
of
入
my
って首相になりまし
class.
たクラスでは
And
会
at the
計
same
係をし
time,
ま
I
した
developed a case
こ
of
の頃私はひどいニキビに
acne
悩
as
ま
an
されました
adolescent. And it wasn't
跡
just
が
an
残ってしまい
occasional
これ
zit.
は
It
青春
was...
時代の私の心に
And so
暗い影を落とし
that,
ま
that
した
certainly did mark my adolescence. I went away to college at the University of
1935
Michigan
年
in
ミシガン州立大
1935
学に入りました
and
教
thought
師か弁護士に
that
な
I
る
was
つも
going to
り
be
だ
a
ったんです
teacher or a lawyer. Toward the middle end of my freshman year, I walked into something called Morris Hall, the broadcasting establishment.
中に入ってラジオ放
Once
送
I
の
walked
現
in
場を見
there
た途
and
端
saw radio,
私は
I
自
suddenly
分が
said,
やりたい
well,
のはこれだと思ったんです
this is what I want to do.
We present Romanov and his violin.
It was the
アナウン
announcers
サーになりたいと思っ
that
た
I
んで
wanted
す。
to be like.
Will Irene succeed in recapturing John's love?
I wanted to do
連続ドラマや
soap
コマーシ
operas
ャルをやりたかっ
and
たんです。
commercials.
These exciting dramas originate in the studios of WXYZ
My
Detroit.
first big
放送局
radio
での
job,
初め
$50
ての
a
本格
week,
的な仕
was at
事はデトロイトに
WXYZ
ある
in Detroit.
WXYZ
That's where
局の
Douglas
初給
Edwards
50ドルの仕
was
事
an
でした
announcer and a
後に CBS
and a
に入っ
newsman.
たダグラス・エドワード
Douglas
がニュー
Edwards
スを
from
読んでいました
CBS.
ね。
The two of us were the
私たちは
Cunningham
2人でニュ
news
ース番
aces.
組を担当しました。
At the same time,
局には
there
レ
was
ギ
a
ュラー
stock
出演
company
し
of
ていた声優
actors
たちもいました。
at WXYZ.
By the sting of the Green Hornet.
I was
それから
chosen to be the
私は
announcer of the
冒
Green
険ド
Hornet
ラマの
Ride
ナレ
with
ーター
Britt
に起用
Reed.
されたんです。
Ride with Britt Reed as he races toward another thrilling adventure. The Green Hornet strikes again.
Then there was
ネッ
Ned
ド・ジョーダン
Jordan,
というスパイ
secret
ものをやり
agent.
ました。
Adventures, thrills, romance. Ride the rails with Ned Jordan, secret agent.
I mean, this
キャリ
was
ア
a
を積むには
wonderful
最
way
高の方
to
法でした
begin to
ね。
grow up professionally.
Myron Wallace speaking.
My family didn't know
親
what to
にと
make
って
of
は
an
ラジオの
announcer.
アナウンサーという仕事は理解を超えるものでした。
I mean, this was
全く
something
別世界の
totally
ことだったん
foreign.
です。
Following yesterday's shattering and unprovoked attack by the Japanese on Hawaii, the United States was at war.
I joined the
第
Navy
二次大戦
in
にな
World
ると
War II,
私は
shipped
海
out
軍
to
に
Australia,
オーストラリアに行きまし
West
た。
Australia aboard a submarine
潜水
then.
艦の補給整備部隊です。
Before I joined the Navy, though, I
入
put
隊
on a
前
sailor
私は
suit
海軍の
in
訓
front of
練
a
用の
movie
映画
camera
に
for the
出演
first
しました。
time, and I
水兵に
sold
扮し
insurance
海軍
to
の仲間に
sailors
生命保険を
in a
勧めると
training
いう役
show.
でした。
Listen, knucklehead, this says I got insurance. 10 grand of it. And this insurance is as safe as a bond. This ain't no scuttlebutt, sailor, so what you waiting for?
I was all of
戦争が
27
終わっ
years
た
old
時
when the war
私は
ended, and I
27
wanted to
歳
get
で
back
シカゴ
to
で
work
仕事を再開したい
in
と思いました。
Chicago.
Good evening, and how are you? From the Sapphire Bar of the Shea Paris, the Shea Show.
A program called The Shea Show became quite a
これ
big
が大
hit.
ヒットしました。
It was a talk show.
Please call us now.
I first met Mike in Chicago. Mike was a friend of my mother's. They were in radio together.
We have people, we have records.
I was very
とても
impressed
素
with
敵な
him.
人だと思いました。
Very
彼
impressed
は
with
ス
him.
タ
He
ー
was
だ
a
っ
big
たんです。
star.
First time I ever saw a
私はこの
television
時初め
camera,
てテレビカメラというものを見たんですが、
and there was some kind of a panel
ライト
show,
の
and
明
the
るさにびっ
lights
くり仰天した
were
のを覚えています。
stunning. I mean, it was
猛烈に
really
熱くて、
hot. I thought,
それで
well, this
私は
is
自分に
really,
はテレビ
really
が向
not
いて
for
い
me.
ないと
First
思
of
い
all,
ま
I
し
was
た。
still
ニキビの跡も気
sensitive
にな
about
っていま
that,
したからね。
and I got sick because of the
ライト
heat
の熱で気持ちが悪くなりました。
of the lights. And then, of course, little by little, you become used to it.
Colgate Comedy Hour. Well, Gail Robbins, welcome home to Chicago.
Mike was
マイクは
truly
シカゴ中で
the
一番
busiest
忙しい
man
男
in
でした。
Chicago.
Finished strictly dishonorable with HCO Pins out on the West Coast.
Yes, that's right.
The minute he'd walk out of the
番組を
studio,
一つ終
boom,
えた
down
と
the
思ったら
elevator
別
into
の
a
局に
cab,
飛んで行って
next
ナレー
studio,
ションを収
next
録
thing,
したり
next
ニュー
piece,
スを読んだりと
voiceover,
ありとあらゆる仕
recordings,
事をこなしていたん
news,
です。
everything.
This is Myron Wallace.
I was still
シ
Myron
カゴにいた
well
時
into
の
my
私
Chicago
の名前は
days,
マイロンでした。
despite the fact that I found the name for some reason sort of lumpish.
ある時マイク
And
の
then
ためにと
somebody
いうド
offered
ラマを
me
やった
a
んですが、
radio
私はその
series
名前が
called
気
For
に
the
入
Love
っ
of
て
Mike.
自分の名前も
I
マイク
liked
に
it,
したんです。
and I've been Mike Wallace ever since.
Listen, the financial page is just wonderful. Listen to some of the names of these stocks. Sangamo L. Creamer Am.
In 1951, there was a new
1951
Mrs.
年
Wallace
テレビの
and a
番
new
組で夫
television
婦を
show.
演じました。
Darling, at this point in our lives, we don't have a dime with which to buy anything.
It's time to meet Mike and Buff, Mike Wallace and Buff Cobb.
Dear Mike and Buff, I imagine some people have asked this question before, if not many people.
Buff Cobb was an
相手役の
actress.
バフ
I
コ
met
ブ
her
は女優
in
でした。
Chicago
シカゴで初め
and
て会って私たちは
wound
結
up
婚しました。
marrying her.
Let the shells come.
Mike and Buff
マイ
became
ク&バ
a
フは午後
staple
のテレビ番
in
組として
afternoon
すっかりお
television
なじみになりました。
until
私
finally
たちが離婚したんで
it had to
放
go
送
off
は
the
中
air
止に
because
なり
Mike
ま
and
した
Buff got divorced.
No man, no matter what his crime, should be deprived of representation.
I went on to
ニュー
do
ヨ
all
ークでは
kinds
あ
of
りとあらゆ
television
る
work
テレビ
here
の仕
in
事をや
New
りまし
York.
た。ド
I
ラマに
did dramas.
You didn't know what was happening right on the ride, you fool, you fool!
None of them
どれもパッとし
the
ません
least
で
bit
した。
memorable.
Good evening and welcome to the big...
I did a
Quiz
couple of
番組
quiz
がありました。
shows.
Mike, number 3, you graduated from college in 1950?
Yes, sir.
What school?
Columbia.
I did a
コ
lot
マー
of
シャルが山ほど。
commercials.
Hi, I'm Mike Wallace with a sensational shortening discovery for better baking and frying. golden fluffo.
I'm Mike Wallace with real news about Revlon's new Lanolite lipstick.
It makes such a golden brown pie.
Oh, man, that's some apple pie.
It was honest work and helped put my kids through college.
Pardon me, ladies.
Oh, well, fine.
Finally, in 1956, I was doing the 7 and 11 o'clock news on the independent station, Channel 5 here in New York. And someone suggested an interview show, which we called Night Beat.
Good evening, I'm Mike Wallace. The show is Night Beat.
Turned out it fit me like a glove.
Mike and Ted, my late husband, decided to have a really hard-hitting interview program.
Do you think that President Eisenhower, Mr. Marshall, has done all that he can thus far to further the cause of integration?
Before that, talk shows had been just chit-chat.
Eisenhower has done anywhere near what he could have done.
We decided, let's ask the abrasive, the who gives a damn question, and make sure that they answer.
You've killed at least one man, or how many more?
Well,
How many more, Mick?
I have killed no men that, in the first place, didn't deserve killing.
On Night Beat, and then 2 later interview shows that were essentially the same format. You'd meet Supreme Court justices, prize fighters, writers.
The Twilight Zone is your own creation.
The blonde of the month.
It was a childhood dream of mine to become a film star.
He was the hot hero. As I say, very, very unyielding, very savage, very liberal.
Newsweek magazine said this about you. They said there's a kind of schizophrenia between Powell, the spokesman for an oppressed race, and Powell, the high-living individual. He loves fine wines and good food. He drives a white Jaguar around Washington.
Never had one in my life.
Very, very close-ups where you really see people and see their eyes and what they're thinking about.
God Almighty created the races and segregated them. Sent them each on their own destiny.
Where do you find that information, sir?
In Acts 27, verse 26, I believe it is.
What is the substance of what he says?
Well, just right off, I couldn't quote it to you.
I see.
This is very much like the executioner's chamber, which was sort of designed to be, to make you wonder whether you would escape alive.
You don't think that there's anything that is morally destructive in anything that is in Playboy magazine? Well, your pictures of nude women, out-and-out dirty jokes.
I was not prepared for the fact that he was going to take such a hard-line view in terms of what I was doing. So the hot seat really was a hot seat.
Do you respect a girl who will pose in the nude or very, very close to it?
Certainly.
He looks like such a boy. He looks like such an innocent. And I look like such a prude. My style got to be so recognizable that eventually Hollywood called.
You know Mike Wallace. Mike! Oh, for heaven's sake, I didn't Mike Wallace. What are you doing?
And we did a parody of the Wallace interview on the Jack Benny program. The way they set it up, Jack Benny was having a nightmare that I was grilling him about his age and about his money.
Why are you driving yourself this way? What are you trying to prove? Prove? Nothing. Then why don't you quit? Quit? Certainly you've got a lot of money. I know, but I haven't got it all.
I have to tell you, I've gone up against a lot of tough interview subjects by that time, but sharing a stage with Jack Benny, that was something.
I'm not going! I don't have to answer any questions! I don't!
I'm going to do a commercial.
You know, by the late 50s, I was beginning to pay a price for some of the television work that I had done. And I was finding that folks in news didn't take me as seriously as I would have liked to be taken, and that hurt.
Good evening, I'm Mike Wallace. A group of Negro dissenters is taking to street.
I've done a lot of news down the years.
Do you think that you need
a stronger civil rights plank than in 1956?
I think the civil rights plank ought to be very clear and precise.
But mostly what the network news folks remembered were the commercials and the game shows that I'd done. Even when I did a solid news program like the independent TV documentary called Race for Space, still there were problems.
You are the first Americans to see this launching of Sputnik 1.
I was able to get exclusive Soviet space footage that none of the networks had.
It is a fact that the United States could have fired the first Earth satellite as early as 2 years ahead of the Russians.
Mike was the narrator of the film, and then we had to get it on one of the networks. Went to CBS, and he was doing commercials for Parliament cigarettes.
And the people at CBS said, you mean to say that we're going to have the fellow who's measuring the quarter-inch filter tip of the Parliament cigarettes? That's the same guy who's going to be measuring the missile gap? Not on CBS. Not on CBS. Eventually, it got to me. And then finally there was a family tragedy that forced me to rethink my entire career. I had two sons, Peter, Christopher. Peter the oldest. He was an athlete and a poet and a writer, and he wanted to be a writer. And naturally, I adored him. And he took off at the end, I believe it was of his junior year at Yale. He was going to spend some of the summer in Greece. While he was there was a monastery up the hill about 3-4 miles away. He got up there, and he was apparently sitting on a rock ledge looking out at the Gulf of Corinth. It's a beautiful, beautiful sight. And apparently the stone crumbled beneath him, and he fell about 100 feet.
Then Mike went over to Greece to look for him, and it was a horrible time. It was just terrible. I mean, I don't know how a parent lives through a child's death. I don't know how that's done.
We went up the hill, and we got to the top, mountain, got to the top and looked down, and there was my son. And we decided, because he had such a feeling for Greece, that we would bury him there.
The sound of the dirt hitting the wood, the small coffin. You know, it's 35 years later, and I still remember it.
I don't think Mike has ever gotten over it. I think it's with him all the time, and I think that the grieving, I think everybody, I think he still grieves.
The thing that came out of Peter's death for me was, I said, I'm going to now concentrate on something that he would have been proud to have me do. And that is just concentrate on doing news now.
This is Labor Day, the unofficial end of the summer of 1963.
I went to all 3 networks, but only one of them would take a chance. CBS News hired me at a huge cut in pay, and I was happy to get it.
Will escalation win the war? Not quickly, it won't.
I set out to prove what I could do, what I had done, and what I knew how to do. At home, I covered the civil rights movement, hoping then and now that my reportage in some small way could help bring the races closer.
If every Negro in the United States turns against nonviolence, I'm going to stand up as a lone voice and say this is the wrong way.
I covered Martin Luther King.
A large segment of white society is more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice and humanity.
He remains my hero.
Has integration solved the problem or made it worse?
I became a genuine friend over time with Malcolm X.
White people don't realize how frustrated Negroes have become.
But they are also of the opinion that no good can possibly come from violence.
If they are of that opinion, Mike, if you think that the powder keg that's in your house is going to explode under certain conditions, either you have to remove the powder keg or remove the conditions.
Malcolm was a thoughtful man. He believed that the white man was a devil. And little by little, he began to understand that he was wrong, that there were good and bad, white and black.
Richard Nixon hasn't been spending much time in Indiana. His total...
I covered Richard Nixon's presidential campaign in 1967 and 68. That's when they were talking about the new Nixon, and you know something? There really was a new Nixon for a while. For a while. As far as I was concerned, Nixon was first-rate with me. Open, straight, didn't tell me any lies, accessible.
Because this fight on the Democratic side is getting very rough.
I think he started out to be a new Nixon, and then became a captain, to a certain degree, of his evil spirit.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
It could have been such a great president.
Will be sworn in as president.
Such a tragedy. While covering the Nixon presidential campaign, I got an offer to go to work as Richard Nixon's press secretary, and I thought very, very seriously about taking it. And then finally, in the end, decided no. I wanted to stay at CBS News, where Don Hewitt had begun to badger me about joining a new broadcast that he'd dreamed up that would later be called 60 Minutes.
It's a kind of a magazine for television. If you're puzzled by the hypnotic effect that today's rock musicians have on the young, John Ehrlichman was closer to the Oval Office and a more powerful...
Who is Louis Farrakhan? It was made to order somehow for me, because I was nosy. Question. How much do you make? Curious. God.
God, yeah.
Important to you?
Oh, yeah. I love her.
We have done
60 minutes,
some 1,300 hours of 60 Minutes.
Terrorists have sworn to kill everyone who went to Israel seeking peace, including President Sadat.
I think his even-handed coverage of the Middle East sort of stands out to me.
There are Syrians still alive today who can remember when there was no Jordan, no Lebanon, surely no Israel. Those states are 20th century creations.
That story was important to me because I felt that maybe I could help those two sides to understand each other just as blacks and whites in America ought to be able to understand each other.
This is the heart of Hezbollah country, the southern suburb of Beirut. This in here was the breeding ground of the bombings and the hijackings and the kidnappings of the 1980s.
In the process, I know that I've offended Jews and Arabs.
The third holiest site in all Islam.
You know something, I think we proved the wisdom of the old saying. If both sides are angry when they get through viewing the piece you've done a good, fair job.
If I was to say to you, Mike, you can make more money than Barbara Walters, your ears would perk up. And that's America. And if it isn't this scam, it'll be another scam.
Morley Safer said about 20 years ago, a bad guy doesn't think that he's made it until he's been on 60 Minutes.
What are the qualities that a good hitman should have?
Qualities of a good hitman, Mike? No conscience at all.
And I've tried to understand down the years why some of these bad guys do want to go and show themselves and talk about themselves and the people they've killed and the crimes they've committed on 60 Minutes, but they really are drawn to it.
But I think it would bother me if I killed an innocent person.
What do you mean by an innocent person?
Well, you're an innocent person.
I'm glad to hear you don't have designs.
Well, look, there's ham in everybody. Ham in me, ham in them. They want to talk about it.
As he nervously takes a drink of his root beer.
I mean, you're a crook.
Well.
And a murderer.
That's what they say. Doggone, I wish they didn't say that, though.
There was one guy in prison down in Miami, I remember, who was running a home shopping network. really out of his cell. This was the office that Danny Ferries worked out of? Danny Ferris had managed to steal something like $2 million worth of merchandise. LL Bean Order Department. Can I order some merchandise this way? My name is Mike Wallace, and I work for 60 Minutes, and I'm sitting in a cell.
We were having a ball.
And you did business?
Oh, yes, sir, a bumper business.
All of these individuals took pride in what they did. There was a certain professional... Well, sure, I was a crook, I was a killer, but I did a good job of it. Didn't kill anybody who didn't deserve killing, would not kill an innocent person. But if business had to be done, I did the business, and I did it well. Mike Wallace, Frank, how are you?
Hi, Mike. Good to see you. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, Mike Wallace. How you doing?
Yeah, fine. What in the world did you switch these 4 tires for? They're virtually brand new tires.
He's the cop on the beat. I think that's sort of the way he viewed his job, is to patrol the beat, swinging his nightstick, and catching people.
Kirsch was a parish priest in a small New Mexico town. I've had doors slammed in my face. I've been escorted out politely and sometimes not so politely. I've had a guard dog take a chunk out of my raincoat. I mean, everybody's scuttling like cockroaches around here. I don't understand. They must be ashamed of something.
I think he finds it very curious how some people can do these things or even think they should try or how they could get away with it.
You're absolutely correct.
And you didn't bother?
Check it. I did not check it.
As a result of which it cost the lady $400.
Yes, that was my fault. It was late in the afternoon.
Gotcha. The 4 most dreaded words in the English language.
Mike Wallace が来たぞって言われるようになったんです。
Are you, sir? He loves it.
彼は楽しんでいましたよ。
This is 60 minutes. You name it. We've covered it. Or uncovered it. I asked Rudd and Dr. Gibson to show me the heart of the operation. We have gone after phony cancer clinics.
You test their blood? For what?
Drugs. Inside these pockets, bags of heroin. Kiddie porn.
Be careful because I'm going to call my lawyer right now.
My favorite
こんな
moment.
こともありました。
Mike has got
シカゴ
this
のホテルの部屋
account
で
in a
あ
hotel
る
room in
会計
Chicago.
係にインタビューしていた
There
時
are
のこ
God
と
knows
です。
how many million people
何
watching.
百万人の人に見られ
Mike
るか
knows
知
there
ら
are
ない
God
の
knows
に
how
マイ
many
クは
people
そいつに
watching.
こう言ったんですよ。
And he actually
じゃあ
said
こ
to
こ
this
だけの
guy,
話ということで。てね。
Look, between you and me. Yeah. You do it. Everybody does it.
I presume everybody does it to an extent.
Yeah, okay. The strange thing is, it is not as difficult to get people to go on 60 Minutes as it used to be, and that's what cigarettes are for.
Most certainly. It's a delivery device for nicotine.
A delivery device for nicotine. Put it in your mouth, light it up, and you're going to get your fix.
You get your fix.
And it's not, I don't think, because we're going any easier. I think that people know that we're basically fair. I did a CBS report called The Uncounted Enemy of Vietnam Deception with General William Westmoreland.
Here's the issue. I made the decision. It was my responsibility. I don't regret making it. I stand by it. And the facts prove that I was right. Now let's stop it.
And it began a battle that landed both of us in court. General William Westmoreland and the people around him tried to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people about the number of enemy that we were facing out there. As the fighting continued, it became clear that the ragged enemy forces we thought were being ground down had greater numbers and greater military strength than we had been led to believe.
I have been subjected to a vicious, scurrilous, and premeditated attack on my character and personal integrity. The sham was perpetrated by the unscrupulous and arrogant Mike Wallace.
Well, finally he sued.
Excuse us, please.
Opening arguments began today in the $120 million libel case by William Westmoreland against CBS.
When you go to court, and what you have is your credibility, your integrity.
Ambushed and rattlesnake.
And day after day after day in a libel trial, you were called every dirty name imaginable. Liar, cheat, thief, whatever. Effectively, that's what you're called. I mean, that goes to your gut. It goes to what you're all about. And for a reporter,
Against CBS is in its 6th week of testimony now.
What you can't overstate is how much work means to my father.
い
It
つ
has
もいつも一
always,
番に考えていたんです。
always come first. For people now to
父の
challenge
仕事に対
his
する姿勢を
integrity
攻撃することは
in his
人間としての
profession
父を攻撃
was
するのと
basically
同
to challenge
じ
who
で
he
した。
was as a human being.
The 19th witness for the plaintiff testified today.
A little by
少
little, I
しず
found
つ私
myself.
は塞ぎ込む
I
ようになり
began to get
食
spacey,
欲がなくなり
depressed,
痩せて
couldn't eat,
眠ることもできなくなりました
couldn't sleep.
He was very
夫は私にとても依
dependent
存するよう
on
になり
me and
私がいなく
just,
てはどこ
you
にも
know,
行かれなく
didn't
な
want
り
to
ました
go anywhere without me.
The trial began almost 3 months ago. It is
He was in
彼
trouble.
は
I
ひどく
think
怯えて
he
いま
was
し
very
た。
frightened.
I went to the
私は
hospital for
病
a
院
few
に
days,
2、3日入院し
and
ま
then
した
suddenly realized it was told
そ
by
して
my own
医師からう
doctor
つ病だと言わ
that
れ
I was in the middle of a
あれは
clinical
まさに地
depression.
獄でしたね
And I tell you,
どん底だったんです
that's hell. It really is.
Anyone who feels compelled to
病院
go
に
to the
行くというの
hospital
は言葉では言い表
is
せな
suffering
い苦し
agonies
みを感
beyond
じてい
all
るからで
description.
す。
Well, today, Leona Helmsley commands an
I had to
empire
continue to
仕
work.
事は薬
So
を飲み
with
なが
the
ら
help
続け
of
ました
some medication, I went on. I was
60 minutesのス
put
タッ
in a
フ
hammock,
が
so
私
to
を
speak,
特
in
別
a
扱いしてく
cradle
れましたが
by various
私は
producers
自
at
分が
60
どんな状
Minutes.
態かを話すのは
And I was
あまりに
too
恥ず
ashamed
か
to
しかっ
tell
た
them
の
what was
で
going
黙ってい
on,
たんです
so they didn't know what it was.
How long did that tryst?
I was talking to a Soviet defector by the name of
アメリカに亡命した
Shevchenko, who was
ソビエ
a
ト政府の役人
Soviet
のインタビューを
officer
しま
at
した
the UN.
一大スクープだったのに
If the Soviet
あの
Union
時
And it was
実
a
は
big
私は
gaffe,
頭
if
が
you
ぼー
will.
っとしていて 自
I
分でも
promise.
何を喋っているのか
I
さっ
had
ぱり
no
わから
idea
なか
what
った
I
ん
was
です
doing.
What is the Gromyko personality?
I would ask a question, couldn't hear or
次に
understand
何を
the
聞
answer,
くべきかも
didn't know
わ
what
からなかった
question was supposed to come next.
One of the New York newspaper headlines reads, Westy raises white flag.
Eventually, in
結局私
effect,
た
we
ちは
won the
実質
suit.
的に
We
裁
didn't
判
have
に
to
勝って
retract a word that we'd
報道した
reported,
ことを
and
取り消す
we
必要
went
は
on
なく
about
な
our
りました
business. Shortly
私も
afterward, I
調子
was
が良く
feeling
なったの
better,
で
and I,
医師が注意し
against
たに
my
もかかわら
doctor's
ず
advice,
薬を
took
飲むの
myself
をや
off
め
the
たんです
medication,
こ
and
れ
that
が
was
ま
a
ずかっ
bad
たんです
idea.
よまた
And
4、5ヶ
another
月苦しむ羽目
4 or
になりま
5
した
miserable months before I began to come out of it. Then 10 years
そ
went
れ以降
by.
は何事もなく10年が
75
経
years
ちま
old.
したが
25th
60 ミニッ
anniversary
ツ
of
が
60
25周
Minutes.
年を迎え私が75歳になった時
Boom.
突然
Once
再
again.
発したんです
That was nearly 4 years
4年
ago.
近く前のこ
Now
とです
I'm
今はもう
fine.
元気です
And I've gotten through it all
同
with
じよう
the
にう
help
つ病
of
で
Art
苦しんだ
Buchwald
2人の
and
友
Bill
人
Styron,
アート・
two
バックウォール
friends
ド
who
と
had
ビ
their
ル・
own
スタイロン
bouts
のお
with
かげです
depression.
ね
If you've been
あ
into
んなひどい
those
経験は
dark
他にあり
regions,
ません。
there's nothing
そ
like
れ
it.
で
There's a
仲
kind
間
of
意識のような
fellowship,
も
I
のが生
think,
まれる
that's
んです
developed.
And that's
私
what
たちは
bonded
固
us
い
together
絆で
more
結
than
ばれ
ever.
ました。
You guys about ready?
A lot of people
人
think,
は私の
well,
こ
this
と
guy
を
may
テレ
think
ビに
he's
出てい
on
るのが
television,
きっと
he's
自
so
分に
sure
す
of
ごい自
himself.
信があるんだろうと思っている
I
ん
don't
で
know
す
anybody who's really that sure
そ
of
こま
himself.
で自分に自信のある人なんていませんよ
And if he is, he's a
も
damn
しそういう人がいたらそれはただのバカです
When I talk to people who
家
have
族や友人にう
family
つ病に
or
苦
friends
しん
who
でいる
suffer
人がいた
from
ら
depression,
私はこう言いたいです
I mean, look, if I've been through
私
3
は3回もう
episodes
つ病を
and
経
I'm
験し
still
たけ
working,
ど仕事は続けている
and in
し
charge of
精神
myself,
もしっかりしている
and you
だから
who are
その人
watching
だっ
at
て
this
きっと
instant,
大丈夫だってね
you can do the same thing for yourself.
American strategy should be reevaluated to restore war as a usable instrument of policy.
American strategy has to face the fact that it may be confronted with war.
The fact of the
人
matter
は
is,
率直な話を聞きた
people
いものなん
want
です
candid talk. You had a reputation as a real horse's behind. Even your own kids said that you were very difficult.
They didn't say I was a horse's ass, did they?
No, they did not. There's no
人はつい
indiscreet
彼
question,
本
there's
音を漏らす
only
こ
an
とがあるんです
indiscreet answer. What is acid rock?
Well, I don't really know because I'm a juicer.
You know, it's funny about interviews. You try to prepare, but no matter how prepared you are, they have a tendency sometimes to take some pretty wild twists and turns.
I'm not a spy. I'm not Mata Hari. I'm not sexual maniac like people say about me. Do I look like I'm sexual maniac?
Sexual maniac? Weirdest
一
interview?
番おかしなインタビューです
Without
か。
doubt. The
それは
painter.
もう画家のサルバドール・ダリですね。
Tell me this, what do you think will happen to you when you die?
Myself no believe in my death.
You will not die?
No believe in general in the death, but in the death of Dali, absolutely no. Not.
Native Americans, how dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet.
I've been shouted at a fair amount by people I've interviewed, but
でも
The
強烈
winner
だった
by
の
all
は何と
odds
言ってもルイス・
was
ファラカ氏
Minister Louis Farrakhan when he took out after me on the subject of Nigeria.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered.
Fine. So what? Yes, there's corruption there. Yes, there's mismanagement of resources. Yes, there is abuse. There's abuse in every nation on earth, including this one. So let's not play holy to moralize on them. Let's help them.
I'm not moralizing. I'm asking a question, and I got an answer.
Why would you put it as the most corrupt regime in the world? That doesn't make sense.
Can you think of one more corrupt?
Yeah, I'm living in one. I'm living in one.
Some enemies less reprehensible. A list of acts committed by people in the White House or employed by people in the White House or employed by people in the cabinet. You know what I'm saying. Breaking and entering.
The longest question I ever asked, I asked of John Ehrlichman, the Nixon aide, who was implicated in the Watergate scandal.
Laundering money in Mexico. Payoffs to silence witnesses. Perjury. Plans to audit tax returns for political retaliation. Theft of psychiatric records. Spying by undercover agents. Conspiracy to obstruct justice. All of this by the law and order administration of Richard Nixon.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
Is there a question in there somewhere? I think it may be the best question I ever asked.
I was doing a picture for Mervyn LeRoy, and I just wanted to meet Ronald Reagan.
Interviewing friends is difficult because you don't want a nasty question to get in the way of your friendship.
Can you understand why blacks may feel that they have missed the Reagan Revolution?
One of the great things that I have suffered in this job is this feeling and this attitude.
Example, the Reagans. They understood that I had to ask some difficult questions, even though it made us all just a trifle uncomfortable.
I've heard it from staff members, but when your ire gets up and you want something done, it's done. Perhaps they've suffered the lash of your iron will.
Oh, Mike, come on now.
We never had any problems. We did once. And that lasted for about 2 days.
What should Americans think about a first lady who consults an astrologer?
There were never any political decisions made
on the
basis of astrology. None.
I would prefer to be interviewed by Mike than almost anybody else.
We're good friends. We'll always be good friends.
There are lots of fixes he's gotten himself in.
We wanted to learn about the hostages held in the American embassy compound.
Asking the Ayatollah during the middle of the Iranian Revolution in the holy city of Qom whether or not he was crazy.
President Sadat of Egypt calls you, Imam, forgive me, his words, not mine, a lunatic.
You know, he just gets away with it. He has that remarkable ability to ask the most insulting, insolent question.
And he used the word a lunatic.
As if he has the right to ask it, why don't you answer it?
Sadat has united with our enemies.
The one that jumps out at me is a softcore. It's Vladimir Horowitz. I mean, Mike Wallace and Vladimir Horowitz got along like two little kids on a school playground.
Are you enough of a patriot?
No, I forgot that. I didn't play for...
You
I didn't play 20... I tell you, I don't know it.
We have done stories, each of us in our own way. I've done Barbara Streisand, but I don't think anybody has done it better than Mike.
I'd known Streisand since the early 60s when she appeared on a talk show I was hosting. Glorious voice, difficult personality.
I really didn't like you back 30 years ago.
I thought you were mean. I thought you were very mean.
I didn't think that you paid much attention to me because you were totally self-absorbed back 30 years ago.
Wait. I resent this.
Together.
I resent this. We would talk about all kinds of subjects that interested me, right? So you were using me as a guest on your show to talk. Now, how do you dare call me self-involved?
20 or 30 years of psychoanalysis. I say to myself, What is it that she's trying to find out that takes 20 to 30 years?
I'm a slow learner.
How many years have
How
you been
about
in
in the
psychotherapy
bi-
off and on?
Why do you sound so accusatory?
I'm not accusing you.
Are you against psychotherapy?
I suppose I crossed the line maybe a little bit. Look,
でも本当は
somebody
彼
with
女は
a
何をして
glorious
も許され
voice
る
like
人なんで
that
す。あんな素
can
晴らしい
be
声の持ち主なんで
excused
すか
for
らね。
any and all of her
私はそう思いま
excesses,
す。
as far as I'm concerned.
No.
Good.
Mike looks as terrific today, I think, as he did at 35, maybe better. He makes us all know that we can go on as long as we want to.
Boy, do I have great genes. I've got another 30 years in here.
It used to be you'd get on an airplane, by golly, with your two bags, and you'd say, I'm going to Omaha, Nebraska, or I'm going to Beirut, Lebanon, and now you say, oh, I'm going to Omaha, Nebraska.
でも若い人たちと一緒に仕事をして周りの人はみんな私より年下なんです。
But if you're working with people younger than I do, and you're rubbing up against their ideas and their fresh eyes, it's...
Kay, first of all, I would imagine.
He's such a kind, thoughtful person. I don't suppose that comes across.
Anderson? I guess one reason that if I have mellowed, it's because I don't feel that I have to prove as much as I did. I'm trying to... This will surprise some of my colleagues looking in, but I'm trying to say, hey, thank you. Sorry for what I may have done along the way. I want to make people around me, family and friends, satisfied with me before I go. I'm quite serious about that.
Mike could be a teddy bear anywhere. On the tennis court. Cheats at tennis. Cheats at tennis. Cheats at tennis.
He is the most competitive man I've ever met.
I don't see any slowing down. When Mike's 135, he's going to retire.
The president used to call it...
Some people are blessed with finding the thing that uses the best parts of them. And I think when you have that, you can go on forever.
I simply still get a kick out of it.
Thank you and have a pleasant flight.
実に豊かな人生ですね。
自分の好きな仕事をする人は年を取らないと言ってたんですけど、この人本当にそうですね。
ね、コマーシャルに出たりね、ドラマに出たり、一時期テレビタレントみたいな時代がありましたよね。でもそういったいろんな体験が今の仕事によくね生かされてるっていう感じがしますね。
しかし真面目な人ですね。意地の悪いほど厳しい質問も結局真面目さの表れなんでしょうし、例の訴訟の時にね、うつ病になったのも結局真面目だからですよね。
ああ見えても内面はデリケートなんですよね。ところでこの60 Minutes が始まった時、彼はすでに50歳だった。それから30年間続けてるわけですよね。ちょっとその年のことを考えるとね、私もこれからだなと思ってちょっと安心するんですけれど。
いや本当に励まされる感じがありましたね。彼は未だに仕事にゾクゾクするって言ってましたよね。僕もね、例えばラジオで本当に自分の好きな音楽を紹介する時はまさにそういう気持ちになるんですけど、仕事をしていく上でとても大切なことだと思いますね。